the faith that we have. He loves to do things with our faith. He loves to do more than we could ever think or imagine. He loves it when we have faith. He wants to give to us and pour out to us more than we could imagine. And so stay in faith and believe and trust God. That's what I have for you tonight. And so I pray that this word is going to be a blessing today. It's Genesis 25 and 26. So come with me. 25, and I'm reading out of the Amplified Bible. And so look and see if you can follow along with your King James or whatever translation you have. It should be able to make sense to you as I'm reading even more. So while you're reading through yours, you can see the difference. All right, so Genesis 25, ready? Abraham took another wife. This is after Abraham's wife, precious Sarah, died. Abraham took another wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shuah. So he had 6 more kids after he had prayed and believed God. God told him he was going to have a son. He had a son in his late age of 100 years old. But God did promise, and it was a test, and it was a promise, and it was like Abraham, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Isaac is in the middle there. So it was a big deal. And so sometimes I wonder, well, why didn't God give him more kids? Why didn't he start them soon? Well, this was a big deal. God said, the stars in heaven, you can't even number and count, but I'm going to give you that as your inheritance, and it's going to be through your son. So we are his inheritance. If we know God and love him and serve him, we are Abraham's inheritance. Anyway, so he had 6 more children. Jokshan was the father of Sheba, Jokshan the first one, or Zimran, then Jokshan. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan. The sons of Dedan were Azuram and Let-Ushim and Lehumin. The sons of Midian were Epher, Hanok, I'm not saying these right, Abidah, Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. Abraham gave everything to Isaac. That was his first son, was Sarah. His only son was Sarah until she had passed. But the sons of his concubines, Hagar and Keturah, his concubines, Abraham gave gifts, and while he was still living, he sent them to the east country away from Isaac, his son of promise. So he sent him away, Hagar and Keturah, because they were Abraham's concubines, but he gave them money and sent them away. The days of Abraham's life were 175 years. See, there's always a time. There's always a time limit. There's always a time. Then Abraham's spirit was released, and he died at a good, full old age, an old man satisfied and satiated, and was gathered to his people. And I love in Psalm 91, it says, with long life I will satisfy you and show you my salvation. Psalm 91 says. And he was satisfied. So he lived 175. So I would think if his wife died at 130-ish, 30, and he was about 10 years older, 140, 50, 60, 75. So he probably lived another 35 years. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar, the Hittite, which is east of Mamre, the field which Abraham purchased from the Hittites. There Abraham was buried with Sarah, his wife. That was his wife of youth. After the death of Abraham, God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at Beersheba la Roy, a well to the living one who sees me. After the death of Abraham, God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at a well to the living one who sees me. See, so what a timely time When Sarah died, Abraham had told Eliezer yesterday that he needed to go get his son, that Eliezer, the servant, needed to go get a son a wife for Isaac, to comfort him because he had lost his mama. And now only not very long later, 30 years, I just counted, about 30 years later, he dies, but what a perfect timing, the Lord had, and he gave the money to go to send the servants to the east. Now this is the history of the descendants of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's handmaid, bore to Abraham. Remember, Hagar was the one that was Sarah's servant girl. And she was the one that Sarah said, go and have a child, because she was barren and she was trying to do it on her own hands, trying to do it with her own flesh. And so she had Hagar lay with Abraham, and then Ishmael came. Well, those are the two women that Abraham had sent away, was the two women that Hagar and Keturah, because Hagar and Keturah were the servant girls. Anyway, so now we're coming down to verse 13. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael. Ishmael is the one that Hagar bore with Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, the name in the order of their birth. Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, and Kedar, Adabel, Mizam. The Kedar was the other servant girl. Mizmah, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Zechur, Napsha, and Kedemah. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their village, by their encampments, their sheepfolds. 12 princesses, according to their tribes, foretold in Genesis 17:20. And Ishmael lived 137 years when his spirit left him, and he died and was gathered to his kindred, 137. And Ishmael's sons dwelt with Havilah to Shur, which is before Egypt, in the direction of Azariah. Ishmael dwelt close to the lands of all his brethren. And this is the history of the descendants of Isaac, Abraham's sons. Abraham was the father of Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban, the Aramean. And Isaac prayed much to the Lord. He prayed much to the Lord. He got married at 40, prayed much to the Lord for his wife, because she was unable to bear children. 90, 100, 110. That's right. And the Lord granted his prayer, and Rebekah, his wife, became pregnant. 2 children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it is so that the Lord has heard our prayer, why am I like this?" And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said to her, "Inquire of the Lord for everything." She couldn't have children. Inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said to her, "The founders of 2 nations are in your womb." Or she could have children, but she didn't know what was happening. "The founders of 2 nations are in your womb, and the separation of 2 people has begun in your body. The one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger." When her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. So she didn't understand. That's what I'm trying to say. 2 children struggled together within her, and she said, "If it is so that the Lord has heard our prayer, why am I like this?" And she went to inquire of the Lord. She probably didn't know what was going on, but was having, emotions and things going on like people have. And so that's when you inquire the Lord. Inquire the Lord if you can't have children. Inquire the Lord if you do have children and there's something going on. Inquire of the Lord always, and God will speak to you. So anyway, God, the one will be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. The other way around. The elder will serve the younger. Usually, the younger serves the older, but this way it's different. When her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. The first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they named him Esau. Named him Esau, meaning hairy. So names are important too. So you inquire the Lord, what is the name of this child? Afterward, his brother came forth, and his hand grasped Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob, supplanter. Isaac was 60 years old when she gave birth to them. Wow, he got married at 40 and she gave birth. He was 60, 20 years later. She gave birth to them. When the boys grew up, Esau was a cunning and skilled hunter, a man of the outdoors, but Jacob was a plain and quiet man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved and was partial to Esau because he ate of Esau's game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. So Isaac, the dad, loved Esau because he ate of Esau's game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Jacob was boiling pottage, which was stew, lentil stew. One day when Esau came from the field, was faint with hunger, and Esau said to Jacob, the brother, I beg of you, let me have some of that red lentil stew to eat, for I am faint and famished. This is why his name was called Edom, which is red. Edom means red. That's why his name was Edom. Jacob answered, then sell me today your birthright, the rights of a firstborn. Esau said, see here, I am at the point of death. What good can this birthright do to me? So he disregarded his own birthright, not realizing how important a birthright is. He gave it for just some stew because he was hungry. And Jacob said, swear to me today that you are selling it to me. And he swore to Jacob and sold him his birthright. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentils, and he ate and drank and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau scorned his birthright as beneath his notice. Esau scorned his birthright as beneath his notice. And see, they're changing. Right now, this is when the younger is going to be be leader of the younger. And just like I said earlier, God can do anything. We got to get out of our mind, out of our thinking, out of the way that we've been programmed, and we got to let God be God and do what he does, and just be joyful, thankful, pray continually, give thanks in all things, and be joyful. And as you praise him and you're joyful, you're praying, you're thankful, you're getting words from him, you're taking authority over the things and just declaring God's goodness, guess what? He's turning it for good. And it's not the way we think. So just like this, look at Esau now. Esau now is going to be the one that, then Esau scorned his birthright to beneath his notice. See, he's going to be the one that is going to serve Jacob. Okay, number 26, chapter 26. And there was famine. What time is it? 22. There was famine in the land other than the former famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Gerar to Amalek, king of the Philistines. And the Lord appeared to him and said, do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land which I will tell you. Dwell temporarily in the land, and I will be with you and will favor you with blessing. For to you and to your descendants I will give all these lands, and I will perform the oath which I swore to Abram, your father. And I will make your descendants to multiply as the stars of the heavens. I will give to your posterity all the lands, the kingdoms, and by your offspring shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, or by him bless themselves. For Abraham listened and obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commands, my statutes, and my laws. So Isaac stayed in Gerar. The man of the place asked him about his wife, and he said, "She is my sister," for he was afraid to say, "She is my wife," thinking lest the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she is attractive and is beautiful to look at. So this, number one, he was afraid, thinking they were going to take her or to kill him or something because she was so beautiful. So instead of having faith in God in that area, now he's a man of faith, but in that area, he didn't have faith right now. When he had been there a long time, Amalek, king of the Philistines, looked out of a window and saw Isaac caressing Rebekah, his wife. And Amalek called Isaac and said, "See here, she is certainly your wife. How did you say to me, 'She is my sister'?" And Isaac said to him, "Because I thought lest I die on account of her, that you'd kill me for her." And Amalek said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the men might easily have lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt and sin upon us." Then Amalek charged all his people, "He who touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." See, they knew something was up. They just knew something was up. They knew something was up because sin had come in the camp, and it can't come in the camp. So thank God for this wise king, or this man, this leader. He listened and he heard and he obeyed. You're going to see that he did. But if he didn't, sin comes in the camp that easy. So then Amalek charged all his people, "He who touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Then Isaac sowed seed in the land and received in the same year 100 times as much as he had planted. And the Lord favored him with blessings. He gave tithe, he sowed seed. And the man became great and gained more and more until he became very wealthy and distinguished. He owned flocks, herds, and a great supply of servants, and the Philistines envied him. Now all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham, his father, the Philistine, had closed and filled with the earth. So God, first of all, God protected that man. God protected Abraham and his wife, and God protected that man, that leader, because the leader recognized that that was his wife, and for them not to touch her. And he didn't want sin to come in the camp. And then Abraham wound up sowing into him. Now Amalek said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we are." So Isaac went away from there and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac dug again the wells of the water which he had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and he gave them the names by which his father had called them. It's funny because Abraham and Sarah had the same thing happen where they went through a town, and he had said the same thing, that was his sister. So it's neat. It's funny how you see like generations and you see similar things. But they quickly, are, taken care of when there's God in the family. Things are taken care of. So verse 18, and Isaac dug again the wells of water which had been dug in the days of Abraham his father, because they were wells his father had dug. For the Philistines stopped them after the death of Abraham. So after Abraham died, they stopped them. They stopped them up. And he gave them the names by which his father had called them. So he gave them names. Now Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found there a well of living spring. And the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, "The water is ours." And he named the well Ezek, contention, because they quarreled with him. Now notice, he didn't argue back with them. He didn't try and say, "No, these are my wells. My father did these wells, dug these wells. I have right to these wells." No. He spoke what he did. He had peace, he had faith, and he just gave a word. And what did he say? The first one, he said, they said, "The water's ours." So he named the well contention because they quarreled with him. Then his servants dug another well, and they quarreled over that also. So he named it enmity. He named it Sitnah, which means enmity. He didn't try and tell them no again, or no, this is mine, or argue or anything. He spoke the word. And he moved away from there and dug another well, and for that one they did not quarrel. He named it Rehoboth, room, saying, for now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. He had trust and faith in God. He knew it doesn't matter. I'll name it and walk away in peace. And God gave him that last one. They didn't quarrel, and he named it room because he said the Lord has made room for us, and then we will be fruitful. God can take what little bit you have and he can multiply, multiply, multiply. And if you stay in faith and believe God, he'll turn everything around and he'll make room for you. So trust him today. Trust him. Now he went up from there to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him the same night and said, I am the God of Abraham your father. Fear not, for I am with you, and I will favor you with blessings and multiply your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. And Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord and pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants were digging a well. Then Amalek went to him from Gerar with Ahuzah, one of his friends, and Pekul, his army's commander. And Isaac said to them, why have you come to me, seeing that you hate me and have sent me away from you? They said, we saw that the Lord was certainly with you. So we said, let there be now an oath between us, carrying a curse with it, to befall the one who breaks it, even between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, inasmuch as we have not touched you and have done to you nothing but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed, favored of the Lord. And he made them a formal dinner, and they ate and drank. Look at the favor, because they saw now that he was blessed. The very ones that were taking away the wells, that were arguing, they saw the blessing. So God will show the blessing on you, just like Lot and Abraham and Lot, when they left the Sodom and Gomorrah, or right before Sodom and Gomorrah, he said, okay, pick which place you want, and Lot picked the beautiful place. Well, Abraham went to the other place, and what happened? But that became beautiful and prosperous because his faith and trust was in only God alone. So, and they rose, okay, so anyway, so just going back to it, the favor of God, continually the favor. So he made them a formal dinner, and they ate and drank, and they rose up early in the morning and took oaths with a curse with one another, and Isaac sent them on their way, and they departed from him in peace. They took oaths, and they departed in peace. I think it says with a curse here because so they wouldn't get back together. They just were afraid of them because they were so big. That same day, Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug, saying, we have found water. And he named the well Sheba. Therefore, the name of the city is Beersheba, well of the oath, to this day. Now Esau was 40 years old when he took as wife Judith. Wow, just like his dad Isaac was 40 when he got married. The same. Esau was 40 when he took a wife Judith, the daughter of Berai, the Hittite, and Basmath, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and they made life bitter. And they made life bitter and a grief of mind and spirit for Isaac and Rebekah, their parents-in-law. So we'll find out what happens tomorrow. But look at how generations, I choose to look at the good, and see, okay, well, he got married at 40, and then his son got married at 40. They both had beautiful wives. They wanted to protect themselves. and they both got in a situation where they lied and said it was their sister, or, I choose to take the good of the generations. I know there's things that happen generation to generation, and we want always the good, and we want to look at the good. We want to look to God. And when we do, the favor of God, God will make room for you. The favor of God will come, and people will see that he blesses you with this little bit. He'll bless you with much. And then look, he wound up having a whole city spoke after the last well that was dug, called Beersheba, and it's still to this day Beersheba, and it's a flourishing place. So we just praise you, Father, for this blessing and for this word tonight, and we just want to go forth in joy and be led forth in peace. The mountains and the hills will shake forth before us. All the trees of the field will clap their hand and will go out with joy, it says in Isaiah. So bless you today. Be full of joy. Let your feet walk, and let your words speak life, and let the joy of the Lord spring up out of your belly, rivers of living water. So be blessed, and I'll see you tomorrow. Remember, your words are your way to victory.